Waiting on God is not easy. When we read the Bible, we read the stories, we read at once what they were expecting and how it happens. But when you have been waiting for a long time for something and you have prayed about it, you know God said it was going to happen, but times goes by and you are saying nothing is happening. Today I want to take you back to 2025 to tell you a bit of how my year was and to give you some things I learned on waiting on God and why I say waiting on God is not easy, but when He comes through, it is rewarding. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Adielle. I'm a 30 something year old girl. I usually like to say I'm 25 with years of experience. So, and I'm living in Germany. I've been living here for 10 plus years, for 13 years now. And I studied here and I work here. So welcome, and if you are not new, thank you for watching my videos, thank you for sharing, thank you for those who leave comments, thank you for everything. Anyway, let us jump right back into the story of how 2025 went. 2025 didn't start that well, or at least the expectation of 2025 started well, because I received a word from God that was reassuring me that 2025 was going to be like my year. And we all like to receive those kind of word that says 2026 is going to be your year of breakthrough. What you could not do 10 years, you are going to do it now. In 1 year, you will gain back all the things you lost in 10 years. I know we love those kind of words, so it was that kind of word that I received. I was really secure in it, but the year in itself didn't start well. I fell sick. I gave up my job. Like, I don't want to tell you I lost my job, because I didn't lose my job. I gave up my job. I could have stayed there. There was nothing getting me, but I felt so restless. I prayed about it and I felt deep in my heart it was the move to make. But I was living a lucrative job, a job where I was flexible, a job where I could work in virtually every part of the world for sometimes, like do workations and so on. And I had already done it in just like less than 3 years in the company. I was able to go do a workation in Africa, to say the least. So the salary, the benefits, everything was good. There was no reason for me to leave the job, apart from the restlessness, the attitude, the cold. Something just, I don't know, happened in the office, and it was not nice anymore. I really feel stressed, feel oppressed, and I prayed about it, like I said, and I had my peace. So even though it was not easy, I gave up my resignation. I wrote the resignation letter and I gave it. But then, as I have worked with God, I know when He says something, it is going to happen. But one one day is like 1,000 years to Him, and 1,000 years is like one day. So I, in my heart, was expecting an immediate turnaround. So I left my job in March, and I thought, maybe in April, in May, I will find something miraculously, like God did. Until now, I never really stayed jobless. When I left a job, I already had something else lined up, but this time I was clueless, and I made a prayer to God that was saying, God, this year, I am giving up my way of living, in the sense of, I don't want to control anything. I want to be secure. I want to know that the next job or the next way is the way you are leading me, that there should be no doubt that I am the one that decided to go that way because it was good. It is also around that time, around March, that I left my old home, my old city, to come to a new city where I didn't know so much, but I knew one person. But that is another story for another day. I hope God will give me the grace to talk to you about it, because when I say 2025 was a good year, it was a good year because of many things, of the people, of how God did things. But it didn't happen the way I was expecting it. I had to wait for it, and it helped me to understand that waiting on God is the best decision you can take, but it's definitely not the easiest one. So during the year, I doubted. I was like, God, you said things was going to happen, but it didn't happen. I was so stressed, and I just came back, keep coming back, and God told me something like, be secure in my love, and be grateful. And I had to study and to understand what God was meaning. And this is what I understood. Be secure in God's love is dwelling in God's presence, in His Word. His Word tells us, it's the spoken word. I mean, the Bible we have is like the spoken word of God, and it's the testimony of His love for us. So for Him to say, be secure in my love, is get to know me, get to know my love, get to know who I am, just grow in more of that. It's not that I'm Christian for a time now, and but there are times in your life where you need to go even deeper. So I really went deeper in prayer. I tried to go as deeper as I could in the Word. And this is the first lesson. Get to know His Word and stand on it was something that helped me when it was difficult to wait on God. Then when doubt was creeping in, God reminded me to be grateful. How to be grateful? Look back at God's faithfulness. What has He done in the past? God has never failed me when it comes to job and to anything. Other things were happening. I felt like for someone who was jobless and they didn't have so much cash on her, I lived a better life in 2025 than in the years I was employed. Like, I traveled a bit more, not even planned. I didn't lack anything. I didn't lack food. I didn't lack a place to stay. I mean, basically nothing. But I didn't have a job, and I didn't have an income that was coming. But things were arranged by God when I decided to trust Him. And it's just the first step, because this you can even trust other than that when you have none of that. It was maybe even easier for me to trust because all of those things. But what happens when you have no home, no job, no money, and you have to trust on God? I believe it's not easy. So God told me to look back and be grateful, and it is something I did. And another thing was, I had received my word, so I knew the word, and I can read the word to you. The word is in Psalm 126 that says, when the Lord brought back the captives word of Zion, we were like those who dream. Then our mouth was filled with laughter, and our tongue with joyful shouting. Then they said among the nation, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us. We are glad. Then in another version is, if you continue to read this, it's, you are joyful, you are grateful to God. And when I was doubting, at some point after praying for so much and intensely, God told me, I've already done it. Now just be grateful. Just be grateful. So I was grateful for the next days, and then I came back to God like, okay, I've been grateful. What now? God told me, be grateful, continue to be grateful. And it helped me to understand also this: when God tells you to be grateful about something, stop complaining, be grateful. And I know it's not easy to be grateful for something that you are not seeing, but start being grateful for the things you are seeing. Be grateful even for the people around you. Be grateful for the opportunities that you are seeing, even for the one that you are not seeing. And those are the things that help and visualize the outcome and be thankful. I remember at some point there were things I was just proclaiming. If you asked me about my job or about any other thing, I would say I have it. I am proclaiming, or I will say, I am this, I am that, I have this, I have that. Always keeping the positive. Not, it was not keeping me positive, but proclaiming what I wanted to see based on what God has said, on base of on what I have asked. I will go deeper in the things I've asked maybe at some point, but right now I just keep it, covered for some reasons that I'm not giving today. So I will visualize it, I will proclaim it, I will, but that didn't make the things or the waiting easy. And another thing that helped while waiting on God and the things are not happening, surround yourself with God-minded people. I'm not just saying good people. I'm not just saying, nice people or people who think like you, telling you about God-minded people. People who can point you back to God. People who can carry you in prayer. And that will help you more than positive thinking. How do they call manifesting? So I don't manifest. Even the proclaiming, the proclamation, and so on should be based on the word of God and on his promise. So when I will read something that was concerning my life, or the things like the job I was expecting from God, or the direction I was expecting from God, or the general direction I wanted to be clear about, like clarity. Lord, you gave clarity to this person, you gave that to this person. When they came to you, you told them this and that. Lord, I am pray, this is what I will receive, that clarity like this or this person received. So those are the things that I did. And at the end, when I look back, we now in 2026, it's January 25, 2026. And when I look back, since the first day of January, I'm just so grateful. Even before 2025 ended, I saw everything the Lord told me. It didn't tell me a specific day. He just told me he was going to do some things in my life. He was going to turn things around. And at the end of the year, God told me, look back again, look carefully. What I told you I was going to do in your life, I did it. And when I did that recap, it was how he said things happen. They did not happen the way I was expecting it. They happened the way he had planned it, and his word remained true. So while waiting on God can be hard, the reward is always exceeding what we can expect. Next, I will try to give you the testimony of my job, how it, because it was, I would say it was miraculous. So you already have a cheese, a cheesy or a cheeser for the next episode, and I will be really happy to continue on this kind of format, to just share a bit about my life, the lesson learned. Like, I'm 30. I wish I learned earlier to just listen to other people's testimony and their life, what they learn. And this is one thing I want to give. Yeah, I've been afraid in some way, because I was like, I don't have anything to teach anyone or to tell anyone. But it's not about teaching, or it's just about sharing the experiences I've got until now. I am thankful if you have reached this part. I'll